Hello, UK Crime Book Club. I am here with Catherine Haworth. Sorry, Haworth. That was a good start. Should we try again?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm here with Catherine Haworth to talk about her debut novel, Instincts, which comes out, well, it came out today. Congratulations on publication day.
Thank you.
So, what kind of day have you had celebrating? Have you done anything special yet? Or are you saving that for the weekend?
Yeah, saving it for tomorrow. So I'm having some friends and family round at my house tomorrow. Balloons, food, prosecco, everything you need for a launch party. So, yeah, saving everything for tomorrow.
And did you tell me at some point you've got somebody coming to take photos and things so everyone can have a little look afterwards?
Yeah. So, I mean, unfortunately, he was unable to come and do that anymore, but COVID plans and all this. But
Of course.
we'll still take lots of pictures tomorrow and
That's the good thing.
and
Everyone,
post them online.
it's not as hard as it used to be to take pictures, obviously.
Exactly.
Always nice when you've got somebody dedicated to do it, but probably better, more candid if everyone's just taking shots anyway.
Yeah.
Not taking shots, taking pictures, not actual
No,
shots.
well,
Well, maybe. You
we'll
are
see how the
celebrating
day
after
goes.
all. And we've got hello from Aggie. Hi, Aggie. One of the group members giving you a little wave and saying hello. So, before we get going, tell us a little about Instincts.
So, Instincts is obviously a crime novel, and it follows a young. I called her a girl, I think, yesterday, a young woman called Faye, and she's a postgraduate psychology student, and she's had this little run-in with a killer during her uni days, and she's kind of got this weird fame for potentially having psychic abilities since then, and now she's been asked by the Metropolitan Police to help out with some a series of murders that have been happening across the UK, and they're not sure how they're linked or anything, and they need Faye's abilities to help find the killer.
Now, that must have been quite a tricky thing. Now, obviously, we can't say too much, don't want to give anything away, but it must have been quite a tricky thing to just keep everything in order, keep everything, so many things moving in on each other. How did you
Yeah.
balance that? Did you keep a lot of notes?
Well, yes. So when I start a story, I don't have any plan. I just write what comes to my head, and that's usually the beginning. So the first line, there was something about him. That has always been the first line, um, and that's just how I started it. Then when I get to a point, I'll be writing, and then I'll get to a point, maybe a few thousand words in, and I'm just, I actually have no idea where this is going and how I'm going to make everything fit. So then I open up a new document, and I always title notes, and then I will copy and paste all sorts of random stuff, character names and meanings, places that need to be put in. So in this, there's like different murders happening across different cities. Google Maps comes into it a lot. It's like, I want to make sure it's an actual location in that place that the murders happen. So I'm there on Street View on Google Maps, like walking around Durham. So it's like things like that. So um, yeah, a lot of planning goes into it eventually, but just not at the beginning.
So I was going to ask you about researching for areas. So is it all done with Google Maps, or do you know some of the areas?
So a lot of the places in London that I mention, I'm not from London, but I've been to London quite a few times. Love going to London, and like where my old workplace's office were, that's got a location in London, and there's a cafe that's mentioned in one of the earlier chapters that a character takes Faye to, and that cafe exists. It's a Japanese cafe, and I would definitely recommend boost it everywhere. It's so delicious. So yeah, I think a lot of the London places I describe and explain are places I've been to. But in other cities, yeah, I've not really been there, but I've been to that city probably but I just haven't been to that exact location. So I'm like, right, I need to get Google Maps and Street View up and make sure. So, I mean, if you've read it, so you know that there's a Subway mentioned in it, and that initially started as a Taco Bell, but it's not Taco Bell in that place, so I had to change it to Subway. So things like that, I wanted to make it realistic to the places, because you know, as someone, I've lived in a lot of places as well, but I think when you are from somewhere and someone describes something of a place and you're from there, if it's not correct, it can be
quite
very
grating.
irritating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got quite a few hellos. I'm just bringing it up on my phone because we've got a few that say Facebook users. So TG says hello, hi T, and Leslie Lloyd. Lucy Sampson says hello. Oh, so Laura Hamilton says, hi both, read the synopsis and I'm intrigued, looking forward to finding out more.
Yeah.
So that's always a good
Might be able to find out more on here, but read it.
Jonathan says, hello and congrats. He can't wait to read Instincts.
Hi, Jonathan.
Adam Lloyd says, hi everyone. TG wants to know, do you have psychic abilities? Now, T does.
Do I have psychic abilities?
This is her field of expertise.
No, I do not have psychic
But it must have been
abilities.
fun to research, even if you
Yeah,
don't.
I think, yeah, definitely fun to listen to and think about. But I think in this, it's not necessarily so obvious. So it's much more just feelings and thinking about what it might be that triggers a memory or a feeling towards somebody. It's more intuition, but it gets, not by Faye, but by other characters, it gets boosted up to be this psychic power. But Faye herself, she doesn't really see it as that. It's just kind of a weird intuition she has. So
I do have to ask, with book 2, is it going to be the same characters? Because you are writing a series.
no,
So you're not going to
I'm
have
not writing a series. It's not a series. So I've got a second book on the way, but it's I think because I don't really read series, I don't write series. I think there are some series, if I've read the first book and I didn't know it was a series, and then it suddenly becomes one, and oh, okay, I need to read them all. But I think most of the time that I don't want to spend time on a series.
So it's not something you
Which
ever
is
see yourself
probably in
doing.
crime. Yeah, in crime, it's you know, that's kind of blasphemy almost. But I think
No,
I
not
just
at all.
like to read so much diverse literature that just I usually prefer going to books that are standalone. But so so I write standalone books. Somebody has asked me, like, would I bring Faye back and explore her more? And I don't know. Maybe in the future it might be something I think of, but for now I've got too many ideas up in here that I need to limit it and get those out first before I can think about anything else.
So I know you said that you don't plot, you're not a planner, but do you carry a notebook around for different ideas and bits of conversation, or a nice place to put a body? Can
Yeah.
you call it a nice place to put a body? But you know what I mean.
Prime location. But I don't carry, I used to when I was younger always have a pen and whatever, but I think, you know, smartphones now, my phone is now full of weird notes that are just you know, odd conversations I've had with taxi drivers, or descriptions of people I've seen in passing that are a bit odd, or random sentences that come to mind. When I was younger, and it's something like my family always pick up on. When we were walking around Derbyshire, just family outing, and we walked past. I must have been maybe 10 or 11, and we walked past along the river, and there was a sock hanging from a branch. And for some reason, the sentence that came to me was all that was left of him was a soggy sock hanging from a twisted twig. And we went and had pub lunch, and I had to write it down on a napkin, and I kept it. And I put that into a story that I wrote when I was around that age. And but it's, I love alliteration. When you read Instincts, you'll see it dotted throughout. So I'm very much, but that sentence is always is kept with me from my family.
Well, it's a very memorable sentence, and it's
Yeah.
quite a good image as well. You can literally picture it just from hearing it.
Yeah, yeah.
You're going to have to use it again in another book. What
Yeah.
an opener that would be.
Yeah. Well, I think that story that I wrote, I'd like to build on it, and that's another thing I'd like to do at some point, but develop it into more. So we'll see.
So, other than Instinct and that short story, what other kinds of things have you written?
So my parents actually helped me self-publish my first ever short story when I was 11, and it was called Mirror People. So that was about a young girl in Victorian England who her parents moved to this house, and upstairs there was this mirror, and it had an inscription around the edge, and she said the words, and then she could walk through the mirror, and suddenly it was, okay, you're now in line to the throne of the mirror people, and she had to go through a kind of like Princess Diaries-esque, but it turns killer because she goes a bit crazy and wants to be queen. So, well, how do you become queen? You kill the queen that's currently reigning. So so that's the sort of stuff I started writing when I was really young. And just since then, it's just been odd ideas that come out. And I try to now, like the older I get, the more I try to put current issues or important issues to me in books. So as like a content warning for people reading Instincts, it's like it talks about like rape culture in universities and the way the British courts have dealt with rape in the past. I'm a lawyer, so having studied law and gone through that process, that's kind of become more important for me to try and include in the books. So yeah.
And you did handle it. I didn't know whether we were going to bring that up, but you did handle it with great sensitivity.
Thank you.
Did that take a lot of
It was very
time just to
difficult.
kind of soften such a difficult topic?
Yeah, and I would say one of the books I read to prepare myself for writing about it and talking about it, I was a Know My Name by Chanel Miller. The memoir that she wrote coming out about being sexually assaulted at a university is American, but I brought it the same things happen here in the UK. It's just maybe we've not got the the fraternity and everything kind of culture here, but we still have the same issues. So and definitely, I include a very famous quote from a judge, a UK judge, in the book, because I thought it was important to make sure what I was saying on this topic was based in reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was going around. That was the topic and the issue that I researched the absolute most for, obviously. But just getting the statistics up. There was points where I was like, I could put more of it in, but I didn't want to overbear it, because it's a crime. It's fiction at the same time.
Yeah. The lightness of touch that you used with it, though, I feel like it was a good balance. It fitted really well with the rest of the story. So to maybe, if you'd have gone further with it and put more detail in, it would possibly have changed the content of the whole book.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got a few more hellos. I'm just seeing the screen move. T's asking what your writing routine is. Stephen, all the good questions off my list, T.
Yeah, I don't currently really have one. I do actually host a. Yes, just write whenever. At the moment, I've just started a new job, so things are a bit up in the air. But actually starting last, not the summer just gone, last summer, COVID summer.
Yeah.
I was furloughed, and I had been at a writers group, local to me, and then I moved. During COVID, moving around is always fun. But then everything was online, so and I didn't have a writers group to go to anymore. So I actually now host one myself. So I host a writers group every Monday, and it's based through an American organization called Shut Up and Write. And
What a great
so,
name
in
that is.
comparison to other writers groups I've been to, where you just talk about writing the whole time, this gives you the time to write, and I need that focus in my life. So you have a quick chat at the beginning, and you talk about what you're going to do in the session, and then everybody shuts up for an hour, and you write, and then you come back at the end and you say, did you achieve what you wanted to? And so that's been really helpful. I mean, if I hadn't have set that up, I probably wouldn't have finished Instincts. So it's because of, I'm not a full-time writer. I have a very hectic full-time job. I have to put very set time aside. But at the moment, it's just trying to fit it into a new routine. I'm now having to start going back into the office. But hopefully I'll be picking up my Monday nights writers group again, so I can get some writing up.
How has it been going back into the office after so much time? I'm assuming writing from home and cafes when you're allowed out and different places.
It's really weird going back into the office, actually. But I think it's stranger that, so from the March when we all got sent home, I've moved employers twice since then. So I went to the office of the employer I was at in March. I went once in December to pick up my stuff, because I hadn't been able to go back until then. Then I left. Then I started a new job, and I actually never, in the 6 months I worked there, I never saw the office. Never went in. It was all from home, inducted from home, left from home. But now this new job I have, I've been in the office twice so far, and then from next week I'll be going in twice a week, which is a bit mental. But I think it's very strange trying to find my way around in an office, especially when they've got COVID arrows on the floor that don't necessarily make sense, and nobody's there, and you're also hot desking, so you've got to try and find your desk at the same time. But from next week, luckily, I'll be at my desk with my name on it permanently. So
which will make it easier
yeah,
rather
but
than
it's good.
rather than moving around and cleaning down between people and all the different
Yeah,
things that have to happen now.
yeah,
I've
and
just
like you can
been
leave,
told that
your
we're
sweets
closing,
in
but
your
we're
sweet
moving
drawer.
again
Yeah, yeah. But no, because everybody's had to empty all their drawers, and I'm a snacker, unfortunately, throughout the day, and so I have to have some sweets and stuff in my drawer just to keep the sugar levels
Mine's
up.
water and chewing gum all day. Chew
Yeah,
gum.
chewing gum is such a good thing. Like, what calories are you getting from that? And you can just chew on it for ages, and when you're done, you just put another piece in, and it just keeps you going. But no, definitely. But I started buying like mint humbugs and stuff like that, like just hard boiled sweets that
Yeah,
you could just like nab on, and
and
just
it'll take
and just
forever
suck on
to
it
eat.
for a while. Yeah, yeah. Just keep
Keep
going,
it
because I
going.
don't drink coffee. I don't drink
I
coffee,
don't
so I'm
know.
like, I don't know how I'm a lawyer without coffee, honestly. But I've made it. I'm somehow here, and yeah, but I need sugar instead of caffeine. So
Mine's just water. I just drink so much water. We've got
yeah.
more hellos and questions. So Patsy Forsyth says hello. Um, and Laura was just about to ask the standalone versus series question, but we beat her to it.
Yeah.
So Sandra, hi Sandra, says, hello, who are the authors you most admire and who have influenced you? This is quite a tricky one. I did
Okay.
warn you that this one would probably come up.
Yeah, I actually really
Hard to be
struggle
put on
with
the
this.
spot with.
Yeah. Okay. Going back, absolute classic. One of the authors I most admire, Roald Dahl. Not even afraid to
Absolutely.
say it
Yeah.
because
Danny's the
brilliant.
champion of the
Um,
world for me.
yeah, Matilda,
Oh,
the
of
Twits,
course, yeah.
amazing. Um, so I mean, I don't. I used to, as a child, always my favorite author, Roald Dahl. And honestly, has anybody come close to beat him? Can he be knocked off the top? So I think even now, as an adult writing crime fiction, I'm still Roald Dahl is the top. But and I think this is where I struggle. I kind of start to favor authors at different times depending on what I want to read. I don't read just crime. I like to read a big variety. I think the biggest genre I stay away from is fantasy. Um, Not really because I don't like it. They're usually quite long, and I need time to read them. Although the type of fantasy I do like David Mitchell. I like his writing. He wrote one. It was a short one. Loved it. Called Slade House. It was like a fantasy mystery, so that was
Right,
good.
okay, I've not read that.
Yeah, definitely recommend it. It's really weird. It goes different times, time zones and stuff like that. It was really good.
I like weird.
Um,
Weird's good.
mm, mm. Right, who else? Who else? Okay. Recently, Adele Parks, love her stuff. One of my favorite books I've read this year, someone else's debut novel called Life at the Party. No, Last One at the Party, sorry. Last One at the Party by Bethany Clift. So good. If you are struggling with COVID, probably avoid it.
Okay.
But it's about a pandemic. It's kind of like COVID meets I Am Legend, the Will Smith film. Horrendous, but really, really good. I'm definitely that macabre person, so I'm fine reading about another pandemic hitting us in just a couple of years that kills everybody. But it's
Wow.
really good. It's one of my favorite books I've read this year. But then I also read Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, which is a crime novel in my view. There's a mystery going on the whole time, a murder mystery. So also very, very good. Ones that have influenced me, I think if I say the ones that have influenced instincts, I think it's easy to narrow down. Marcus Zusak with The Book Thief. Most
That's something I wanted
definitely.
to ask you about. We'll come back to Marcus
Yeah.
in a minute.
We'll come back to him, but great. The Book Thief is one of my favorite books of all time. And definitely his narrative voice and the way he writes has definitely influenced me. The same going back to childhood writing with Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events, definitely with his narrative perspective influenced me. And going very classic literature, Lord Byron, but really go in there. He wrote a mock epic poem called Don Juan, and honestly, I would tell anybody, even if you don't like poetry normally, give it a read. It's really fast paced. It's quite long, but you don't really need to read it all. Even if you just read like the first 5 cantos, chapters, it's just funny. He completely flips the story of Don Juan on its head and makes Don Juan this innocent boy who gets seduced by women instead of the other way around. So definitely worth a read. But his narrative voice has also really influenced instincts. So yeah, I think I'll stop there because the list would go on.
That's okay. We're always up for recommendations from any genre. Absolutely. We're going to go back to Marcus Zusak. So at the
Yeah.
beginning of Instincts, you do use a quote
Mhm.
from the book thief. So now I know
Yes.
why, because it's one of your favourite authors, but why that particular quote?
I'm just going to get it up because
Would it be mean if I
there were
asked you
lots.
to read it out for anyone who hasn't,
Yes.
who isn't familiar?
I'll just need to get it up on my screen. Here we go. Right, page 1, because I know it's a. Just give it a second.
But why is the book thief?
Um,
While we're waiting for that to come up, why is the book thief
okay.
such an
Yeah,
important book for you?
I think. I mean, very important to me just because of when I read it in life. I think so. My dad bought it for me when must have been when it first came out. I've actually since. I mean, obviously, it's had the film and everything since then. But even when you Google the book thief, it's hard to find the cover that I've got. I'm not at my house with it right now, but I would show you. I've got this beautiful cover of it, and hardback, beautiful. And it was just the way the narrator, for those who haven't read it, I mean, I don't think it's spoiling much, is death. And, seeing this story just following one girl really and her issues with people that die around her, and like death has always been so close, and he's watching her and kind of cares for her. And it's set during the Second World War, and it's just such a very different perspective. Like, who thinks to write from that perspective? But and in a way that's so focused on just a child at the end of the day. So yeah, just really, I think it was just so different to anything I'd ever read. A bit different to Roald Dahl.
Slightly.
But yeah,
Punish children
yeah,
work.
just a tad. But yeah, no, it was just an important book for me. I don't know, it's always stuck with me. I've read it more than once, and I was saying before I don't really like long books, but Book Thief's pretty long, but I'll still still read it a couple times. The quotes come up now, so for those who haven't seen it at the beginning or haven't got the book yet, so the quote from the Book Thief, Marcus Zusak, is: "Mystery bores me, it chores me. I know what happens, and so do you. It's the machinations that wheel us there that aggravate, perplex, interest, and astound me. There are many things to think of. There is much story." And so I think I kind of picked that one. I mean, one, it's the first person, it's the death speaking to you. And for those, again, who haven't read it, this is why it was very difficult for me to read books that were similar to Instincts, to try and get inspiration of how to write it. And I did go looking, but it's not a whodunit, really, because you get told at the beginning. So death is there saying, there is all this story, but we don't need that mystery because there's loads of other stuff going on. Just life is going on. It's how we get there, but we know how it ends because we die. That's life. So yeah, I thought it was really interesting because the beginning of the book, beginning of Instincts, you know who's done it, but it's just why have they done it?
I like that. And yeah, I'm seeing the more macabre side of you, definitely.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's all good. You're in the right place with it. So T has asked, do any particular situations give you ideas for stories?
Just
Do you find
anything.
anything in particular? Is this a certain kind of thing that you're drawn to?
I don't know, honestly. That's quite a tough one.
I suppose
I could
lots
just
of
be
things can
anywhere.
spark ideas.
Yeah, I think I could literally just be anywhere. But I think when a story actually becomes something, will be, as I said earlier, about dealing with important issues or things that are important to me. So I've had ideas where I want to really focus on, equality in people, and just things like that, or how death is treated, especially in children. So when children experience death, how they deal with it. Again, but I think when there's an issue that I'm thinking about at a time, that will be where the story progresses. So I think that's kind of where. So you could say the news is where I get my ideas from. I mean, there are too many things you could write about in the news nowadays, but yeah, so I have to try and find a focus. But yeah, I think otherwise, different situations, it would just be, could you be walking down the street? I think on a bus, I think buses are great places to think of stories because you see all sorts of weird people. You never know what's going to happen on a bus. So yeah,
always lots of varieties of
anything.
people on a bus.
Yeah.
Or anywhere, just out in the street. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Walking around London, as you say, there's so many
Yeah.
different things going on.
Yeah, the tube is brilliant.
Never been on the tube. So,
Never been on the tube.
no, I'll take your word for
It's
it.
lots of fun. I actually love getting on the tube. It's great.
Aggie's asked, when did you realise that you want to write crime? So you talked a bit, obviously, about writing a story when you were younger and the sock and different things, but have you always been completely drawn to crime? Have you ever started to write something different and it's still come out as crime?
Well, instincts. I mean, that there was something about him. It was meant to be a romance. As soon as that end of that paragraph came, it twisted to crime, because there's something about him was a not good thing. So I think I do try, but there's
But
always
it draws you back in.
a crime going on. Even like that Mirror People that I talked about, that first short story that I really finished. When I think back to it, and it's only really in this conversation, actually, it is crime because it's murder.
Well, yeah.
But because it's in this other world, I've always kind of thought of it as fantasy, even though that's not what I read. It's not my thing. So, but when I was younger, I think I was, with Roald Dahl and all these fantastical things going on. You do kind of put yourself in other worlds and stuff, but it was still crime. So, no, maybe not. maybe just crime has just always been again. Yeah, I'm just a bit dark, I think.
Nothing wrong with that. You're in good company there.
Yeah.
Just thinking that whenever I'm driving anywhere, one of my kids will point out that'd be a good place to put somebody, Mum. She's 18, so
Okay,
we
that's a bit
talk
better. It's
about
not like
different
your
things. Yeah, my
5-year-old.
But it is quite funny, the conversations that we have, that I think, how far has this gone too far now?
Yeah.
So, somebody says good luck with the book. I've had a quick look at it, so I'll see if I can find out who that one is from. Not coming up, but it might do in a moment. What are your ways of relaxing is another question that's come up. Do you ever relax? It doesn't sound like you stay still.
No. Do I? I've tried meditation in the past, but I don't think it really works for me. Because just my mind is just on another level somewhere, thinking about things. So this app or whatever I'm listening to is telling me to breathe, and I'm like, yeah, well, duh.
Oh, did you do Headspace? That sounds
No, I
like
was
the app that
using.
I tried and deleted.
It's honestly
It was lovely
just
for some
any
people,
of
but
them.
not for me.
One that I've actually found good for a bit, and it was at the beginning of the pandemic. It's because they had a free trial on it. What was it called? It was Chris Hemsworth's app that he runs.
Yeah, no,
You can look it up.
Not really
but
sure.
No, but you'd have to pay for it now, unless they have another free trial going on. But they had good workouts, and then they had, but they also had like sleep and meditation stuff. And I think sleep is the time I can focus on it. But if I try to meditate or I tried doing yoga, my thing, I need to be active doing stuff. I guess the way I relax is watching TV and reading. So they're when I sit still.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you go and watch crime documentaries or crime dramas, don't you? So are you really relaxing? Or like watching Handmaid's Tale. Handmaid's Tale, you cannot relax while watching that. You're just on the edge of your seat the whole time, shouting at men, probably. So it's not really relaxing. So no, I don't
No,
think.
venting's good for relaxing. Have a good vent, get it out your system,
Yeah,
shout at
I
the screen.
suppose.
That's got to be
Yeah.
calming.
Eventually, at the end of the vent, you might feel a bit better.
Sometimes a bit of a rage clean. This is what me and Kaz talk about when we're irritated by something. Can guarantee the kitchen will be clean because we've been in a mood and like venting in that way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. When I was younger, tidy your room. I would blast some, like Avril Lavigne, get it on, blasting out really loud, and
I have a completely frozen screen. I was expecting it to move again. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but it has completely frozen on mine. I wonder why. In the comments, can you let me know if I'm just talking to myself, please? A very real possibility that I am, but there's also a possibility that Catherine can hear me. So we shall see. Not really sure if it. Oh, okay. Not really sure if it was me or Catherine that has frozen. But if you bear with us for a moment, I'll see if I can get her back. So this is a fun thing for publication day. Let's see if Catherine will come back in. So for anybody who, oh, okay. So Catherine's frozen, and you can still hear me. Okay. Sorry about that. Be better the other way around, wouldn't it? Let the author do the talking. Never mind. Let's see if Catherine comes back in. So Holly and Faye in Instincts. Thank you, Sandra. Are really good friends, and as Catherine was saying, there's a chance meeting in a bar, and Holly really likes the guy that they've met and is really attracted to him, and Faye just has this feeling she doesn't like him. She starts to feel unwell around him, and they leave. And then the next day, they find out that he's a murderer. So Holly feels like Faye saved her, and then writes a book also called Instincts about how her best friend, saved her from a killer. And Faye, as Catherine was saying, Faye doesn't feel like she really has anything other than feelings. And I have a blue screen and no
I'm
sound.
back.
Oh,
I'm back.
I just started talking a bit about Holly and Faye. So we were frozen, but apparently we're good now. So fingers crossed.
Yes, my laptop died. Really sorry. Did not think about the charge.
See, now I'm checking that mine's plugged in. Yeah, I'm good. Got paranoid for a moment. So I was just talking about Holly and Faye. So tell us about their friendship and what it was like to write that.
Okay. Easiest thing I've ever written, probably, their friendship, because it is based on me and my friends, my closest friends. There's bits of all of them, all in Holly. So Faye is kind of based on me. I've had some feedback that people wish that I'd gone into more of Faye. And I think it's because it's based on me a bit, like her personality, a quieter version of me, I think, but still me. Everybody, you got to put yourself in your book. And I think that's why I didn't go so much. But Holly is so developed because she's all these real people, and there are things like she has to have a coffee in the morning in order to function. My best friend, she cannot function in the morning without her coffee. she stopped round recently, and I'd run out of coffee, and I didn't even know, and it was just I had to apologise profusely. And then there's a bit where she goes round to Faye's house so often that she always packs a pair of spare underwear. I have a friend that would do that. We would meet up every Saturday.
I can still hear you, Catherine, but I've lost your image now. Let me see if I can. Okay. And I'll sit here and smile. Do you want to just. There we go. I was going to say, do you want to try and pop yourself back in? Because otherwise it's just me grinning madly at people. Much better with
I'm
both
back.
of us.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I had a friend. We would meet up
Have you
every
got two
Saturday with a.
open because I've got an echo? Have you got two lots of Be Live
No,
open? That generally is what causes an echo.
no, I don't.
Can anybody else
You
hear
got?
the
Is it?
echo? Because if it's just me, I can cope with it. What fun! It was going so well.
Oh, I know technology. I can't see new comments coming. Maybe there just aren't any.
We'll see. Right, carry on and
Is
let's
the echo
see.
bad for you, Sam?
I can hear you twice, but it's fine. I
Okay,
can concentrate on that.
Jonathan.
And Aggie said it's fine, so carry on. I'll be fine.
Okay, right. Sorry. But yeah, no. So I'd meet up with a group of friends every Saturday, and and some we would have to get the same bus towards our house, and sometimes it would just be a really off the cuff. Oh, you want to stop over tonight? And it got to a point where it happened so often that she just packed spare underwear in her bag, so she would have some for when she stopped over. So I think, yeah, really fun writing Holly. Obviously, she is completely exaggerated. So yeah, friends, sorry, it's not really like just you, and I don't think that of you. But yeah, very exaggerated and over the top. But yeah, really fun to write.
We've got more hellos and more comments. And Sandra said, interesting authors, thanks for all of the authors that
Yeah,
you've,
good.
yeah, quite a lot. Leslie Lloyd, it
Mm.
was that says, good luck with the book. She's had a quick look at it. Jonathan
Thanks,
Peace
Leslie.
has asked, with your background in law, would you ever consider writing a legal thriller, such as those by John Grisham, who was also a lawyer / solicitor? You must have considered this.
I have, and I have thought so. The next book, it's like trying to fit other areas because I'm not a criminal lawyer. Um, I just like crime. Oh, Sam, you've frozen for me. Can you still hear me?
Oh, I can still hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, your camera's like everything's really slow, but I'll just keep going. Um, so yeah, because I'm not a criminal lawyer, I think I've been trying to fit in other types of law in that new ideas I'm coming up with.
Mm.
So I'm trying, like wills and trusts. Not necessarily, they don't sound very thrilling, but they can be important. They still affect people.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, I'm an intellectual property lawyer, and I've been trying to figure out how to fit that in to my writing. But apart from, I don't know. Although I have just picked up a book called The Plot,
Mm.
and that is it's about copyright theft, and I'm very excited to read it because it's going to be right up my street. But yeah, so my background in law, I don't know about writing a proper full-on legal thriller, um, but I do try to incorporate it in the books.
Yeah.
But I think it's why I
Nice.
don't go so much the detective route. Like with Instincts, there is all that sort of side to it, but Faye's not a detective.
I did wonder about that
yeah.
actually. Because obviously, you've gone with a different route than a traditional police procedural. So, did the idea for Faye and Holly come, and then you decided where you were going to go with it,
Yeah.
or did you have a firm idea before you started, just of the direction? I know you don't plan, but did you have an idea of any of the direction you wanted to take it in?
No, so Faye and Holly definitely came first. So like basically the whole of the first scene in chapter 1 was what came first. That's why it's still there right at the beginning of the book, because from there, I find it difficult unless I start something right in the action. I need to build up to it. It starts at the beginning. Like I start at the beginning, so I don't go backwards. So that first scene, if you want to know what I was thinking about when I first started writing, that first scene. So anything that came after about the Metropolitan Police, nothing to do with that first scene. So I didn't think it was going to be any type of procedural to start with. It was just going to be some kind of crime thing with Faye and Holly, but it developed into more.
And it's no mean feat, you've written debut novel, serial killer. I mean, you've really gone at it. It's quite a tricky thing to start out with. Most people would shy away from it from the first few books. So did you know you were going to have a serial killer?
The last line of chapter 1, which was initially just at the end of the first scene. So that was initially very much earlier. That was when I knew it was going to be a serial killer. But who it was, I don't know. At that point, no idea. Just throw them in, and then we'll find out more. But so no, I didn't. As I say, like I write lots of stories at the same time. This one just happened to actually stick, and I've carried it on. But I was just really excited about it. I think the issues, that I talked about rape culture and treatment of women, and I think that really helped me. The fact that I could put that in it, that helped me stick with it. So it was the first
that
time.
one idea.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. So very exciting, and just happened to be serial killer. Why not?
Why not, indeed. Laura Hamilton stealing a Desert Island Disc question. What would your luxury item be? Oh, that's tricky.
I've never been very smart with my answer on this.
Thankfully, I've never been
people
asked
are like,
let's not start now.
oh yeah, well, very true. I've been to lots of law interviews where they try to ask you stuff like this, and people are like, oh well, surely it's like a rubber dinghy, so you can leave, or a mobile phone so you can call for help.
That's cheating, though.
Yeah, exactly. I think when I've answered, like when I even just seeing the question, then the first thing I think of is like, well, does a notepad and pen count as one item? Because a notepad, unless you're going to just make paper airplanes, pointless without. And so a pen really on a desert island. But if they come as a pair, notepad and pen, then that would be what I'd want. Because I handwrite usually. All my initial ideas handwritten, and I would take, if I usually had a handbag that was big enough or wasn't already too full, I would still take a notepad and pen around with me, but my phone's just so much easier now. But yeah, that would be my desert island experience, my item.
Good answer. Laura also asked, not just the bus. Oh, she's commenting, not just the bus. The bus stop can be an interesting experience too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Area dependent, it can be fascinating.
Although I'm usually that person that I arrive just in time for the bus. So I don't hang around. So I don't see many people at the bus stop. I'm just there like, oh, right, just in time for the bus. But yeah, once I'm on the bus, all those people, very good.
And people are letting me know that it is just me that's hearing double of you.
Yeah,
And Jonathan's asking if I've been drinking again. There's your answer, water.
water.
Sticking with the water tonight. Well, for now. We'll
Yeah,
see.
for
We'll
now.
see later on once I'm not working.
Mm.
Laura Hamilton's wondering if bloody Scotland has hogged the internet and that's why we're having issues.
No, I think it was just me letting my laptop die. Sorry.
Um, so with the next book, can you tell us yet how far in you are with it and what it's about?
I don't know if you know um, my publishers should hear how not far into it I am, but I have been doing more research on this one because, as I mentioned, trying to get wills and stuff involved, and it sounds so boring. And honestly, I picked out my equity and trust textbook from law school that's like this thick, and it is dull. But I'm trying to make it not dull in a book context because basically, the way I describe it, think of Ocean's 11.
Love Ocean's 11.
Yes, but now make it murder, not
Okay.
robbery. Um, and then, so that's kind of the premise. But the reasons, well, you see all the different reasons behind why the group have got together, just like in Ocean's 11. This group have got together, but it's to do with inheritance and them not being get the money, and how in British law it would actually be possible for you to not be paid your inheritance, and the issues that can surround that. So again, I don't know if it sounds interesting, but I promise when it's in the book and you're watching people try to kill someone and plotting to kill someone, better. But I've been trying to do lots of research into it, make sure I've got the right sort of tone ideas behind it before getting all the actual words down.
But that's a good idea. But the danger of it, I suppose, is the rabbit hole, the research
Yes,
rabbit hole. How far down
yes.
it have you fallen?
Too far. Just, I mean, even when I had to reboot my laptop a second ago, I'm so glad that Chrome asks you to you shut down wrong. Do you want to
Oh,
restore? Because
the
I've got lots of
yeah,
tabs.
restore
I don't know
button is
why I don't
definitely
just
our
save
friend.
them. I could just save them, but for some reason I haven't because I feel like I'll never go look at them again. I think if they're there, I will click on them at some point. But I do, with having textbooks about stuff, I limit myself to the textbooks because then I'm not going off on one on the internet trying to do law stuff because you know there's all any law students or anything will always know you type something into Google and then you have to type it in again and make sure you put UK on the end. Because you end up with all the American law. Sometimes you get Australian, New Zealand law in there. It's
Do
like,
you have to
no.
narrow it down even further just to English or Scottish or something else as well?
Sometimes, usually, if you type in UK, it will come up with. I don't know if it's because of my location is on, but I would have thought it would get rid of the American settings anyway, but it doesn't. Yeah, it just usually if you type in UK, it will just give you the English ones anyway. Sorry,
So
Scotland.
we've only got about 5 minutes left, and I've not asked you about the team yet. How was it writing a team set? Metropolitan Police. You've got the team with so many different skill sets on it. How do you narrow that down and just have a few characters that can do all of these different things? How much planning or thinking ahead does that take?
That was really hard. That was the hardest part. Like writing the team in the Met, it was the most difficult bit of the whole book. Everything swapped around so many times. How I wanted their workload to be split between them, or how things were run, what people were focusing on over others. All of that got swapped around so much, and that's when my notes page became very much right. This character has to do this in order for this to be able to happen later, and it's all of those sorts of things, and like Imogen Daniels, who's the main officer we really spend time with, trying to figure out what she needs to be doing in order to actually spend time with Faye,
Mm.
to be able to, for them to, and making sure she's doing the right thing for them to follow the track later on, and actually get anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the hardest part to write. It moved around a lot.
When it comes to Marsden, he's a really great boss. He really does oversee everything, doesn't take any nonsense, keeps everyone in line, but a really
Yeah.
nice guy with it. So that must be quite a difficult thing as well, to maybe choose what kind of boss they're going to have, because that shapes the story massively.
Yeah, I think where did I've had really nice bosses in the past, and I think that's helped. And some of
Mm.
the suggestions have come from just work experience or whatever in law firms. So I actually have had comments, like Kat's asked me before, is this something the police would do? And I'm like, I don't know, but it's what we do in law firms, so we'll go with it. So yeah, it was. I think I always wanted him to be nice, but that's where we have his superior, who is just, well, I wouldn't say he's not nice. He's just got his own interests
Yeah, I'm not
at
really sure
heart.
what the word for him is. Can't say
No,
useless, but not, because
I
he's
think he's
not.
just
He's,
self-absorbed and ready for retirement.
I
Really,
suppose, ready for retirement will come to us all at some point.
yeah. And I think for Superintendent Todd, he comes from, I think some of the even though it's American, completely different. But I think some of the dynamics I've thought of.
Mm.
My favorite TV show is Dexter, so got to have some influence from Dexter in there. Can't wait for the new season to come out. Going to be amazing. But I think the way they had Maria LaGuerta, who was kind of nice, kind of just also trying to do her own thing, but they had the guy above her, the captain, who
Mm.
was a bit more like Todd. So yeah, just different things come from different places in your head, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. What kind of, we probably the last question of the evening.
Hmm.
What do you think you learned from writing book one that will help you with book two, or that you wish you'd have known before you started?
I think what I've already learned is that I need to plan more ahead of time, which I'm already working on, because so much needed to move around, because of facts, in writing instincts.
Mm.
So I think there's that. What did I wish I'd known? Uh, I don't know.
I'm sure
The other
something will
thing,
come to you.
yeah, I guess the last thing I'd say is word length. I think I need to try and make it longer next time. But I think Instincts is just a perfect length for what it is, and it tells a story in its own little box, and it didn't need anything else.
I have got one more question. Do you think
Go
you'd
on.
write about COVID after the book that you loved that featured a pandemic? Do you think you'd ever write it?
I don't know. I think now I think it's going to get overwritten. Um, Although I have thought about, if we start writing books now and they're set in present day, do we need to refer to COVID? Because otherwise it's not realistic. If you start saying like, oh, a couple of years ago we were doing all this stuff. No, we weren't. We were all stuck at home watching TV,
I suppose
watching
that's
Boris
author's
Johnson on the
choice,
news.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Creative
So
license.
yeah. So it's just a case of, do you acknowledge it at any point? Or if you have a book that goes back and you actually reference 2019 and 2020, like, do you talk about it at all? But I think that'll be something I'll have to see when we get there.
Maybe it's something that'll just come to you one day as you're writing.
Yeah, maybe.
So, give everybody a final recap of what Instinct is about.
Okay, so yeah, Instincts out today. It's a crime novel that follows a young woman called Faye, who's got potential psychic abilities, and she's been hired by the Metropolitan Police to help solve a series of murders that have happened across the UK. No links whatsoever, but they've got to figure it out. But she's being watched by someone, So you got to figure out who's watching her and why. Yeah, hope you all enjoy it.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you to all the admins and members who've joined in as well. And congratulations on Publication Day.
Thank you.